Fli-City got some dogs in it, dogs in it. Fli-City come off authentic, authentic. We light it up like sauce in it, sauce in it. We light it up like sauce in it, sauce in it. Fli-City got some dogs in it, dogs in it.
Peace and blessings, everybody.
Come off authentic, authentic. We light it up like sauce in it, sauce in it. We light it up like sauce in it, sauce in it. Rain may come, we coming for it. It's a cover charge, cover charge. Pain coming.
What's up, Joe?
Be stronger for it, stronger for it. No socks, no prison beds, and I'm better for it. I'm better for it.
Let's get to it, baby.
Fli-City now make some noise. Random corners, pushing packs, looking back, hand ups, ain't seen no ass.
Fli-City got a city tax, body bags, ski mask, crime rates, and speak to God. City giving rich vibes. Beat knocks to a speaker box, we don't speak a lot, just move around. Water dirty, streets dirty, whip clean. We okay, we grew up all survivor schemes, riding dreams, Lion King, the jungle seems like peace to me. Struggles led to victories, now picture me 6 months out, I'm on my feet, on the business, talks with Maddie, on the business, run the city, lead with all the owners in it, minus since we bless the city with our agenda, hustlers, open fitness, all that is is open to us, just push a lane, gets crooked man, and we straighten out, they tearing down, north side, south side, east side, west side, peace signs, we try to get this city warm, west side, north side, south side, east side, west side, north side, south side, east side, west side.
Got some dogs in it, dogs in it, dogs in it. Fli-City come off authentic, authentic, authentic. We light it up like sauce in it, sauce in it, sauce in it. We light it up like sauce in it, sauce in it, sauce in it. Fli-City got some dogs in it, dogs in it, dogs in it. Fli-City come off authentic, authentic, authentic. We light it up like sauce in it, sauce in it, sauce in it. We light it up like sauce in it, sauce in it.
My city experiencing the transition from penny pinching, maximizing our dollars, multiply triple digits. I came a long way from baby jars in a project kitchen. Nowadays, I read grab charts and just mind my business. All praise to the Most High, how this young king living. Resurrecting the spirit of Osiris, how I'm living. Hustle and motivate your local hope dealer. I'm on tour right now, and I'm dope with it. They lied to us, stole assets, still in crisis mode. Water warriors like 1,000 ones, we will not fold. I'm sick of fugazi leaders and career politicians. The father said people perish due to lack of vision. It's time to rise, black lives, baby, it's on the flow. Bet it back, no 9 to 5, only 10 to 4. A city of monsters, a bunch of go-getters. We don't rock with starters, we too authentic.
We don't rock with starters, we too authentic.
We don't rock with starters,
we too authentic. We don't rock with starters, we too authentic. We don't rock with starters, we too authentic.
I just sent it to you too.
We don't rock with starters, we too authentic. We don't rock with starters, we too authentic. We don't rock with starters, we too authentic. We don't rock with starters, we too authentic.
That's your
Yeah.
All right. Peace and blessings, everybody.
In the same place, your work can be. You just need a son.
Sorry about that, y'all. Peace and blessings, everybody. Can you hear me? Hey, Queen.
Hotep, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How you holding up?
I'm holding up well. We're holding up well. Thank you very much.
You know what? It's always a pleasure to see you for sure.
And likewise, definitely.
You know, this is always a phenomenal moment. So, more or less, definitely thank you for coming on to the show.
Okay, my pleasure.
That's right. So this is the Fli-City Blackout. Have you had the opportunity to check out the show?
Yes, I have. I actually looked at it last week when I think it was when you had former mayor. Let me get it right. Former mayor and future mayor, Karen Weaver on the show.
Right. So what did you think about our content and just the whole setup?
Oh, I think it's phenomenal. I think, this is what I saw when I saw you in 2014, 2015. This is what I saw. This is who you are. What you do.
What you saw, because you're a very insightful person. I know you got real vision. And when I be saying that, like, a lot of people, they may say they visionary, they may see things, but now you really open up that vortex. You really open up that third eye. So
you humble me. Like, no, I think Flint, Michigan, it's don't get me started. I think that we've been considered a disposable city. We need somebody who has fought for us and recognize that, that we are perceived as disposable.
Right.
That this can be done, this corruption can be done, and nobody paid the price for it. And no, I think that we need somebody who's going to fight for the people. We need somebody who recognizes that we are spirit and soul, and our babies deserve better, right? And no, we need something done. We're not done. We need something done, and we don't brush it under the rug. We need to be acknowledged, and we need to have a recompense. We need retribution. We need to heal, and it's not okay. It's not okay.
Let's talk about that. When you said some pretty profound things when you talk about we need to heal. First and foremost, I think that's first. We do need to heal from all the historical hurt that we endured over the time. You talking about being in this country. You're talking about just dealing with the policies and the things that continue to cripple us every day. We do need to heal, right? And we do need to have conversations that sparks nurturing conversations, right? You know what I mean? Right. Sometimes you got to put stuff on the table that's uncomfortable for folks. Right. And, the thing is, the idea is to come to a resolution. So nobody is really, caring about folks' feelings and things of that nature when their feelings been hurt this whole time.
Yeah, I think that it's like being in an abusive relationship, right? And we keep saying we need to heal, but the man is still abusing me, or the woman is still abusing me. Right. And every Friday I'm getting abused, but we keep saying, well, I need to heal. How I'm going to heal when you never acknowledge the wrong that's done, and you continue the abuse. Like where's the space for healing? The minute I start healing, I got another black eye. And so it's like, where's the space for healing? We have babies. No, let's stop. We have babies whose lives will never be the same.
Come on.
We have adults who are going to be dealing with chronic illnesses that's a result of something that could have been controlled but wasn't, right? And again, I come back to nobody is being mandated or being put in, are expected to pay for the wrongs that were done. There are people who lost their lives. If it was me and you, we'd be under jail. It's not a matter of being at the jail. We'd be under the jail. And so
right. We by far we'll be definitely
right. and our children, right? So you create, or you think you're going to create a community where you can build jails now in Upper Michigan around the fact that our children are going to be impulsive. Our children are going to not be able to, according to research, what led us. Y'all know this. I'm not telling y'all something you don't know, but our children won't be able to focus. Adults, if you wonder why you can't focus, aside from the trauma, but right. They set the conditions.
Now you're absolutely right. We already, even as adults, we can't stay focused for long anyway, right? We've been traumatized. That's chronic trauma. That's not just some trauma you get over. That's trauma and it's ongoing. It keeps coming, right? It keeps coming.
Coming.
Don't it seem like it never stops? It's like we are constantly under trauma. We constantly under the gun.
Right.
And we constantly got issues taking place, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's never a sense of relief.
Right, exactly. And what does that do to a people? that.
Look, it keeps you in a crisis like mindset.
It does.
And what happens is when we become normalized to trauma.
Yeah.
So we become, our attitudes and our actions and behavior just becomes accustomed to it.
Right. Right now, you know what that's called, because you know the book, Manufactured Consent by Noam Chomsky, right? The book is you create the chaos.
Come on.
And then you come back with the solution, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's another book out there. I'm sorry, I got these books about what is fascism. Fascism, pronounce it correctly, is to part of fascism is to create chaos. You create chaos among the people, and you keep them so discombobulated that you come along and anything you offer, the people. I just need some relief.
Right.
And that's the book 1984 that all of us were told to read. It's the canon for our.
What was it? What was the name of the book?
1984 by H.G. Wells, I think. I don't want to say the wrong person, but
1984.
1984. Now, if you have not read that book, shame on you.
And so, so you got to tell me. I have not read. I'm not even going to say it. I have not read that book.
Right. Really? I'm sorry. I just saw what somebody said. There is no drama specialist and therapist in that. Well, weak trauma specialists in Flint. We need a lot of them. We don't need one.
Right.
We need one on every corner, like our churches. We need maybe in the church. I don't know, but we need them. Right? The book 1984 is, I don't know who. I don't want to say who is written by. I think it's H.G. Wells. I think, but I don't want to be incorrectly saying that. If you take a moment, look it up and tell me so I can say it right. Is it H.G. Wells?
Let me see. I think what is that? Becky,
who is that by? Yep, H.G. Wells. Okay.
H.G. Wells. Oh, right. Bada said H.G. Wells. Yeah.
Right.
Is it 18? Is it
1984? Right. And
okay, gotcha.
I put that out there. And thank you for reading the 1619 Project, but I want to put 1984 out there. And the reason why is because that book is prophetic for the time that we are currently in. Prophetic. They have the ministry of truth, which tell lies, and they have the ministry of peace, which creates war, and they have we are in this system of delusion, right? And so everything that we're told is actually the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
But our minds, we know it's the opposite, we can feel it, but we're trying to, and we have this dissonance, but we're trying to bring congruency with our minds, like what they said, like Trump said, there was no insurrection, it was just good people at the White House, and we're like, well, is that what I saw? And then there are those who know they saw insurrection, but still want to say, no, that wasn't insurrection. That was just, good people at the White House. Yeah, it's
Man, he did say that silly stuff.
Yes, he did.
Say that.
But not only he the only one. Look, you got people who are still in Congress who are still supporting and sustaining that story.
But you know what? All them folks is crazy. And them be the same folks who would try to shoot down CRT, the same folks who try to cover up truth, those same folks that come and just spread lies. You say a lie long enough, people start to believe that stuff.
Right.
So,
that's in the book 1984.
You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Yeah.
That's Hitler MO, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tell people a lie long enough.
Yeah, and they'll start believing it.
It becomes true.
And that's something that, to be honest, I think we have, kind of been railroaded, just because we have been taking on a lot of false truths.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Malcolm X said, we've been hoodwinked.
Right.
All right. Bamboozled, run amok.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yes.
Right. And it's unfortunate that we continue to be bamboozled. That stuff still happens to this day. We continue to be bamboozled. We continue to keep even taking on these lies. We continue to keep on just being embodied with the nonsense that's being put out here, and we perpetuating it now.
But do you think that that's the purpose of a colonial education?
Yeah.
Colonized education? Right.
Yeah. Speak on that.
Nah, that's a question for you. Like, you tell me, do you think that that the model of education that we all receive, and I'm not just saying black and brown people, certainly, but that we all receive, is structured in a way so that we all are inundated with untruth.
Yeah, you know what? And like how you said, sometimes truth is like we up under a lie, right? You know, everything they tell us is a lie. Everything they tell us is the wrong thing. It's just like when you talk about the foods, what's on the FDA approved list and what's not, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the items that's on the FDA approved list may not be good for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're detrimental for your body.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll outlaw something that may be good for you,
right?
Like mineral herbs, things of that nature.
Yep.
And so
you can't make money off of it.
That's in the capitalistic world. That's what we're dealing with, right? They rather is profits over people.
Right.
So if I can tell you a bunch of garbage just so that way you can believe it, and you be under this osmosis of believing a lie.
Right.
You never find truth.
Right.
And for us, I think that's what's been happening to us. Like, you know, we've been believing in this lie, and we can talk about religion. We can talk about the colonizers. We can talk about the education that we have been given. We can talk about the history lessons that they try to provide for us about who we are, kind of talk about some of the stuff from the past, right? You know, everything has been like something that's been told to us, and it may not have been true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 And so as long as you eat from that table, then, you know, you no longer you don't have to enslave a people, you know, and you know, Carter G. Woodson talked about that, right?
Yeah.
As long as you control a person's mind, right? You don't have to control it. You don't have to enslave them. You don't have to tell them where the back door is, right? That they'll go and create a back door.
You know what I'm saying?
And right. But we talk about liberation. Let's talk about that. And I know we're going to CRT, but we talk about liberation. We just want to be liberated. We just want to be liberated. But we go and eat every day and send our children to the colonizers' table to eat. The colonizers' food is not about liberating you. The colonizers' food is about keeping you enslaved and keeping you on the plantation.
Right.
Right? And right. And so how do you get free as long as you are being educated by the colonizer?
You'll never be free.
I'm sorry.
Let me say that first and foremost, you'll never be free. You'll never be free if you're under if you're under the oppressor's education, when you're under the oppressor's economics, when you're under the oppressor's public health systems, when you just under the oppressor, just period, right? You don't even have your own culture that you can derive from. So you're right. It's like us, and it seems and it feels like, you know, for a while we have been captured people that seem to just haven't broke out of the chains, right? Just because we don't have chains on us physically,
right?
We still have them on mentally. Right. And a lot of time is believing all that stuff from the past and things that really kind of curtail our development and progress for the future.
Right. Right.
And it's sad that we continue that type of activity and we continue that behavior. That's where that's why I guess when you talk about the chains are no longer there, but you continue to perpetuate the same behavior.
Right.
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 And you believe in this. And we just so much under a fault.
Right.
It's not even funny.
You remember the story about the elephant that grew up with chain. He was chained up, and he grew up, and so he just knew he was chained. He knew he was chained. And then his owner took the chain off, and he still walked around like he was chained up. Right? He had the parameter was already established, and that's how we have been so brilliantly indoctrinated and trained and educated to believe we're free, but yet we still act as though we have chains on.
Yeah. So what is it going to take? What is it going to take? And I guess I'll be talking about true change. Like, what is it going to take for us to really, you know, come up out this fall? Like, what is it going to take for us really to take back power of who we are, right? Or the culture that we come from,
right?
You know, and be stand-up people, and not be bickering and biting each other and backbiting. And continue to keep on this westernized way of living. I mean, sometimes, man, to be honest with you, Dr. P, is sickening.
Yeah.
It's very sickening.
And you know what? But it should be.
Taking folks.
It should be.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about my book on and tell me when we need to go. I'll be like you and I'll be talking. I was thinking about my book on African-centered education, and I've been revisiting it because one of the things that I keep looking at is that we want to deal with the child as though the child is separated from a community.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always about how do we fix the child? African Americans, they always point out how we low achievers and this is wrong with us. Deficits, everything is wrong.
Right. It always seems like
everything wrong with us. So when you think about how we go at the problem, I would think about like research. Like you have to ask the question. And it's the question, think about the matrix. It's the question, Neil, that drives, right? So if you have the wrong question, then you're looking for the wrong thing. So, right? So you're solving a problem from the wrong premise because you don't have the right question. So what is the question that we should be asking? And when I think about our children, and we say, well, we just got to teach them who they are. And then, but we start, instead of starting from the spiritual, we start from the physical, right? And so instead of starting from deep structure, we start from surface structure. And deep structure is that we're spirit beings having physical experience. That's deep structure, right? And as long as you tell a child that they're finite beings, that they start here and end here, right? Then their lives will lead to destruction because they don't anticipate that they are eternal beings.
Yeah.
And what does it mean to be an eternal being? Like, because we talk about, the ancestors, we give honor to the ancestors. Come on, we do. But then we say, the ancestors are in our children, but we treat our children as though the ancestors are not in them. Because if we understand that life is cyclical,
that's deep.
And the ancestors are just went to the other side. And then the children coming in, the unborn are coming in, and they are the ancestors coming back in. Do you really believe that? Well, if they are the ancestors coming back in, then they're evolved beings.
Yeah.
So then you need to listen to the children because they're bringing new knowledge into the earth realm, right? Think about this: a mouse in a maze. If there's a maze and they're trying to get this mouse through, and none of mice can go through the maze. They get one mice that goes through that maze.
Right.
And then the next set of baby mice that come in will have an awareness of how to get through the maze faster. So we evolve as we come in and go out and come in and go out. We're constantly evolving. Think about, there was a time when there was, and I'm done, but think about, there was a time when there was
you running. I'm just getting all this in on here.
Okay.
I'm trying to type it, and then also you got a lot of folks that saying speak on it, drop the mic, you get into it. So
think about I don't know, I lost my train of thought now. But anyway, so it's like the maze. So think about the time when we didn't have cell phones. And think about now, and none of us, you couldn't get a child know how to use a cell phone. Think about now when a baby coming to the earth realm, let them at 2 months, they already know how to mess your phone up, right? They know how to use your phone. They know how to turn it on. They know, right? And that's evolution. That's evolution. And we're not being mindful of that. So if we really believe that life is cyclical and we're spirit, we go out, we become ancestors, we come back in. We're constantly evolving. We're constantly moving life forward.
Come on. No, I don't think a lot of people realize that when you talk about, just like how you just spoke about ancestors, and I believe that wholeheartedly. The whole energy that I'm carrying right now is because of some energy from the past, right?
Right.
So my job is to carry on, really pick up where we left off, pick up where he or she left off, and move it forward, right?
And move it forward.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. And that's why you should listen to the children.
Right.
No. See, we keep saying, I need to teach the child. But if their ancestor coming back in, then the child has as much for you as you have for the child.
You're right.
But we're not sitting at the feet of the children, right?
Right.
We're dishonoring the children. We're dishonoring the ancestors for what they're bringing back in because we're not listening to the child.
All right, now you speaking, and let's hone on that, because I think when we talk about where we are as a place of people,
right?
If we really curtail that power and really kind of talked about how much of an energy that we have, that folks have been doing the work before us.
Yes.
We came back using us as vessels, right? For a mission that was of the past.
Yes.
And I feel like, when you find your purpose in life, you connect yourself to that, right? You connect yourself to your spiritual being, you connect yourself to your higher purpose in life. And so to be able to do that and to be able to do it fully, like you really have to go ahead and dig deep and understand.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that has to go ahead and look within yourself.
Right. Right. So you talk about culture. Our culture, our deep culture understands that. But we've been here in Western society so long that we have gotten away, or we've forgotten. I won't say we've gotten away. We've forgotten that deep culture. We understand that and we give honor to the ancestors, but we don't fully recognize how the ancestors are working with us, in us, and through us, and our children.
No, we don't.
Right. So that's a part that we have to get back to. And once we come into an awareness that there's a way that we view and see the world because of who we are culturally, that's what our children need to know. Like, that's a holistic way that African people view and see the world, or let me call it melanated people, view and see the world. It's holistic, and it's because of the melanin. There's a fragmented way that non-melanated people view and see the world. And you can tell because they're always pulling things apart. If you look at the curriculum, right? Why are we learning math from English, from science, what make y'all think that's the best way to learn? Here are people who are in infantile state telling us who have been here since 3.5 million years ago how to educate, right? Like what make you think that they know how to educate? They just now figuring out that Sirius A and Sirius B are in the sky when the Dogon people have been saying that for over 700 since Egypt, since Kemet. So what make us think that they have the superior knowledge for how things ought to be? And we'll fight for it. We'll fight to sustain it, right? And
but why did we give them that power?
Yep, because we've been in them schools. We receive, from the time we are 5 years old, we receive everything that we learn from the authority of European Americans. And you know what that do for us?
What's that?
Convince us that they are the ones with the authority to tell us what knowledge is.
No, I think now you hit on a critical part when you say that we send our students, our children, to these schools, right? And sometimes I'll be having to have this conversation with my son and my daughter because understanding that, I would love for them to go to the Flint schools, but I would do them a disservice if I send them there right now because it's just not up to par. And I need them to be competitive in this world, right? You know what I'm saying? Making sure that they're very, knowledgeable about just life in general, knowledge about the culture, but then academically sound. So the thing is, though, why don't we develop our own schools in our communities where we have Black instructors? I'm talking about Black women and Black male instructors, right? Where we talk about the culture, when you talk about, the African, even Africa as a continent, talk about what was before slavery, right? Our contribution to civilization. I think, just really giving them a full scope of life, of who they are. You can't talk about history without talking about Black history. Right. Especially if we are the originators of it all as Aboriginals, right? We must make sure our students and our young people know that even though that we're being sent to these predominantly white schools and, we learn it from the oppressor, that we have to fill them with knowledge or we have to develop a space for them to learn. I think we haven't even really had a real conversation on that.
Right. And we have to look at our contradictions because the contradictions are that we send them to the oppressor to educate them. we somehow think that we're going to get liberated. We haven't started our own schools because I don't know why we won't. It's not that we can't, and we don't. I don't even know if we need to start schools. I mean, we're in a new era of virtual.
You think it's gonna be? You think it's gonna be like this?
Oh yeah, I mean, we taste it. It's like the microwave. People were cooking in the oven, and then the microwave came along. You get slower. You get early adopters, and then you get them slow ones that take their time. But we taste it, and so it cannot go back because we taste it. And there's a different world. One, when you understand, I don't need you to prescribe for me what I need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Children don't need prescription. They need curiosity. They're gifted. They come into the earth realm with the ability to learn. They don't ask you at 2 years old, can I go stick this knife in the electrical socket? They feeling around. They're putting everything in their mouth. They are, see, then here we go again, culture. If you dismiss the ability, if you say that children don't have agency to learn.
Come on.
And they need instruction, then what you do, culture. Then what you do is diminish the ability of God, creator, supreme being, consciousness, however, of crafting and designing beings who can evolve, right?
Yeah.
Because we evolve through learning.
Mm-hmm.
So children are created to learn. They learn more in the first 5 years of their life than at any point in time, right? So they come in learning.
Yeah.
So why are we prescribing what they need to learn? Why don't we allow them? Because if we trust them and recognize they had agency and understand how spirit works, then we would not be imposing a prescriptive knowledge for them. That's Western culture. See, what's happened is we are so indoctrinated into Western culture, we don't even know what's ours and what's theirs. We are white supremacists. We are so white and so European that we don't even recognize it. We are white supremacists walking around trying to be black, be for black liberation.
Right. No, you ain't lying though.
I'm serious. Okay. I'm done.
No, you ain't lying. No, I'm just saying we are white supremacists walking around and we black. You talking about?
Right.
No, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's why we get nowhere. And this is my thing. Like, we always be upset about our circumstances. We be so mad about the school system here in Flint.
Yeah.
Right? We be mad about even the water crisis that happened to our children.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, right, we may complain a lot, but the reality is we ain't putting nothing in place to go ahead and address those issues. And I bring up this because Mrs. Deloney has Freedom School. She developed Freedom School. Yep. She brought that concept to the Flint community, and it's a brilliant concept. We normally host it on the second and fourth Saturday at the Flint Odyssey House, and really just kind of building up our children. We're giving them knowledge of self, making sure we tell them affirmations, talking about love thyself. You can't love other people unless you love yourself first. You got to understand and protect and appreciate the skin that you're in. So it's a thing that really kind of tapping in and getting deep into that spirit like you talking about.
Yes.
Making sure that we activate that in them, right?
Yes.
But then also you continue to keep developing and progressing it along the way. And so to be honest though, a lot of people know that Freedom School take place, but they don't support the Freedom School. They don't support it with the necessarily dollars to be able to not only just sustain, but maximize.
Yes.
Right. We should have Freedom Schools on every corner, just like the churches, like you were talking about the churches. We supposed to have them in community centers. And I ain't talking about that watered down Freedom School that be going on. You know what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about that. I ain't talking about that stuff that folks just doing stuff but don't carry the spirit. They don't do it. That's just like, and just speaking on just like that Juneteenth last year. Them folks wanted to do Juneteenth and they want to sit up there and do it, but don't even understand the true essence of what Juneteenth represents. Right. And so it just looked bad. It looked terrible. It looked crazy. So when you out there doing it, that's why stuff ain't working out for you, because you're not doing it under the right spirit.
Yeah.
And everybody see it. We don't even have to say nothing for, I guess, for folks who really carry on that spirit and really embody this culture.
Yeah.
We look at that and it's a laughable moment because we should be better than that.
Yep.
But this is what we be doing.
Right. But yeah. it's education, and it's disrupting, right?
Mhm.
It's disrupting your own mind so you can begin the process. Because our scholars said it's a fight for your mind. Liberation
Mhm.
starts here. It's not in the classroom. It's not in the economics. You can't get to any of that until you start here. You cannot be a liberated people when I keep saying this. I'm gonna say it again. You can never be liberated when you continue this Malcolm X to send your children to the one who oppresses you for education. Right? When you
Mhm.
send, as long as we continue, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And don't talk to me about I need them to be competitive. That's Western culture. Because
Mhm.
black people, because
I
African
just
people did not educate children so that they could be better workers, right? We got off the plantation, so we thought. So the goal and the purpose of education is not producing workers.
mhm.
It's producing people who can walk and operate in their divinity, in their godness, and understanding, recognizing who they are because it's Ubuntu. It's I am because we are. It's
Mm.
recognizing that I don't exist without you, and because you exist, I exist.
Come
Right?
on now.
And that's God. That's Creator. You are God. When I look at you, I
Mm.
see the manifestation of Spirit looking back at me.
Come
Right.
on.
So how
Yeah.
can I kill you and
Mhm.
love God? There's a scripture in the Bible that
Yeah.
says, "How can you love me, God, who you've not seen, and hate your brother who you see every day?" That's clear.
That's clear.
If you don't recognize God in that being who's sitting across from you, then you don't recognize God in yourself.
You know what? I got to harp on that. It wasn't until, I seen true value or I seen the God within that I
Hmm.
was able to look at
Hmm.
my brothers
Hmm.
and not want to be able to take,
Yes,
steal,
yes,
kill, or do
yes,
anything that's going
yes.
to be a detriment to him.
Right,
And that's something that I
right,
hold true.
right.
And even now, I
Yeah.
know sometimes we get very heated with each other, and
Hmm.
sometimes it be like that.
Right,
But nevertheless, man, mine is out of passion and love for each other.
right.
Okay, when you really care about your people,
Yeah.
when you really care about the society that you come from, when you care about the community and the people in it,
Hmm.
um, it really makes a difference and it comes out in the work. And sometimes people become hurt, right? Because when they love something so much,
Yes.
you feel like as if they may not be getting love back, or they don't feel people value the love that's being given,
Right,
or they just feel like they just,
right.
nothing's gonna change and everybody's just
Yeah,
wasting their time. It's
yeah.
like it's a very, very, very cold and long feeling for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. Cornell West talked about that. He said,
Mhm.
that the people you work the hardest for, they love you, they hurt you the most, they love you the least. Right.
We love
And
you
he
the
talked
least.
about, right. That was his struggle. That's his
Yeah.
struggle is that pushing and promoting for the liberation of Black people, loving your people so much. And yet
Mhm.
those are the ones that, come up against you, they hurt you. Right. We can talk about all our leaders. Come on, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. Like who was their worst? I mean, who told Martin Luther King, no, bro, don't do that because you creating problems for us when you come and upset
Them black,
master
them
like
black
that.
pastors. What's that black pastor that set them up?
Yeah,
You're absolutely right. And Jesse Jackson, you got all these different folks, man, that, you know, just like now, man, we got folks that be claiming that, they gun ho for the culture and down for the cause, but selling us out right in the same breath.
yeah,
And that's, to be honest, I understand what Martin Luther King was feeling when he was sitting in that Birmingham jail. When he was sitting in there and he was just like so pissed off and he wrote that letter,
yeah.
he had to cuss out them clergymen and pastors. He just really was going in, and I think, what I'm saying, it got to him, especially when you sitting in a cold cell,
Yeah,
ain't nobody come and got you.
yeah,
You done did all this liberational work for folks, man.
yeah,
You would gave your last. You
yeah,
didn't sacrifice your own personal life, your family,
yeah,
right, to go ahead and make a difference for people
yeah.
who could really care less. But
But you,
let them be in a situation,
yeah.
then you be the ones they calling, right? I think that's just terrible.
But here again, when you do your work, the reason why you do your work has to be bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know is you being led by spirit. You have to know that I'm doing this because of spirit, and it's not about whether you can understand that person over there understands why you're doing what you do. If that's your purpose, and you
Mm-hmm.
know you're being guided and directed by spirit, you do it You do it because that's why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you do what you do. And I get that.
Did
we talk about CRT?
Talk about CRT. Let's talk about it. So CRT, give us what's CRT, critical race theory.
Okay.
And your definition defines CRT.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna give it to you because I'm a researcher and I've been in higher education. I was familiar with CRT because, it was part of when you're in graduate school. It can come up when you're looking for a theoretical framework. CRT is one of them. But let's talk about and it's critical race theory. Everybody should know by now. All of those who are in the audience, you know what CRT is. Can you give a heads up in the comments? But yeah, critical race theory is really it's a theoretical framework. And what that means, if I'm going to look at a phenomenon,
okay,
I'm going to look at it. We're required to come up with a theoretical frame, and that means how am I going to look at this? If it's a pencil, let's just say it's a pencil, and I want to study this pencil, I need a theoretical frame for how I want to study this pencil. Yep. And so when I did my research on African-centered schools, I did a theoretical frame. My theoretical frame was called Afrocentricity or Afrocentric or African-centered theory. And that theory it asked the question, and this what drove and this what filtered how I looked at the phenomenon. It asked the question, what does this have to do with African people? Mm-hmm. It centered African people as I looked at this phenomenon. If we look at, say, the insurrection at the White House. Yes. And if you want a theoretical frame for that to look at it, and if I said, well, I'm going to look at it from an Afrocentric perspective, I would be looking at it from the perspective of how does this impact African people? Where were African people when this was going on? Mm-hmm. And what is the long-term impact? I would be examining that phenomenon from that perspective. Okay. Critical race theory is a theory that examines phenomena from a particular perspective. And let me tell you what the 5 tenets. Okay, let's just talk about it. It started off as critical legal theory, and everybody should know Derek Bell. He was the scholar who actually he was at Harvard University. He quit because they would not hire. He was protesting the fact that they would not hire women.
What was the original name you just said?
Critical legal theory.
Critical legal theory. Okay.
Right. And it started because he was in law. And after the Brown versus Board of Education legislation was passed, and we thought all our problems were going to be resolved, and recognized that Europeans found ways to avoid desegregating the schools. Mm-hmm. And so he began to look more closely at law, and he called it critical legal theory. Mm-hmm. And it grew, and there were 5 tenets for it. And here are the tenets, here are the tenets for how he's looking at it. It says, and these are the tenets of critical race theory because this later became critical race theory. It is racism is not aberrant to American society, meaning it is normal and it's embedded. The country was built on racism, and we know that because slavery was all intertwined with the Constitution.
Yes, ma'am.
The other tenet is interest convergence, meaning that whites will not agree to any remedies for blacks unless it serves them as well. And that was the Brown versus Board. So the only reason why whites agreed to the Brown versus Board was because Russia was looking at us, and really getting a bad reputation for how we treated black folks. It was right after World War II, and blacks went and fought in the war. They was coming back. They were getting lynched. They couldn't, participate in the GI Bill, and so Russia.
Still can't participate in the GI Bill. That's something to definitely check out. That's something, with the black veterans from World War II. Right. And the descendants are still not allowed in the GI Bill benefits. There's a bill in the House to change it. I know that was a conversation that was being had earlier. Okay. But, that's shocking to be even knowing that, but not even shocking because, to be honest with you, we know how America has been to black people. We fought this war. We fought for this country.
Right.
We built this country, and they still treat us as second class. So, I mean, that's nothing.
Well, you're still not in the Constitution. You like to think you are, but you're still not. But anyway,
We wasn't even talking about You're right.
So racism is embedded. Interest convergence mean that you will never get anything from the European unless it benefits him as well. So think about it. In 1964 and 5, when we got the bill for the Civil Rights Bill, where the women, right, it would not go through until women were added, right, and the white women got benefits from the Civil Rights legislation, and that it also one in tendencies. Race is a social contract, which we all know that race is not biological; it's a political social construct. And and of course we know white folks created it, right? And whiteness is property. The other tenet is whiteness is property, and Cheryl Harris, she wrote on that, and that is whiteness itself offers property to white people, and it is protected under the law.
Say that again.
Whiteness is property, and it is protected under the law. So white people believe that there are benefits that they are ascribed simply because they're white, and that the law will protect their whiteness. And it does.
That's crazy.
Right? And then there's intersectionality and non-essentialism, which means that all folks are not the same. And that's when we come up with, there are other, so it's not just race. Critical race theory doesn't just look at race, but now it looks at the intersections, which are could be your sexuality, your gender, your ethnicity, your religion. So it brings your class. It brings all of that into looking at critical race theory, and then finally that there are alternative ways of telling the story, which Derek Bell used, and that was counter narratives, where it's not always the European does not get to have the dominant narrative of events. And which is what Nicole Hannah Jones did, was she had the audacity, and she doesn't do critical race theory, but she had the audacity to revise the narrative on 1619. And that set the world aflame. Y'all don't even understand that we don't get to tell their story.
We can't tell, you saying we can't tell white people's story.
No, do you understand? So I mean, that's why Donald Trump was ticked, and he had an executive order banning CRT. And I'm going to read to you what he says. And you want to know what all the fuss is about. Donald Trump said, students in our universities are inundated with critical race theory. This is a Marxist doctrine holding that America is a wicked and racist nation, that even young children are complicit in oppression, and that our entire society must be radically transformed. Critical race theory is being forced into our children's schools, it's being imposed into workplace trainings, and it's being deployed to rip apart friends, neighbors, and families. Now, that's what Donald Trump said. Now,
that boy is crazy.
Right. Now let me explain, because Ben Shapiro has jumped on this as well, and I'm going to read what he says in a minute. But they want to claim it's Marxist. Critical race theory is not Marxist. In fact, Marxist theory, the proponents of Marxism have a problem with critical race theory because it censors race.
How the heck does that work though?
Because Marxism is about class, and Marxism says class is the center of that keeps people from experiencing true democracy. Class, because of capitalism. Capitalism is creates our class system. Might as well be our caste system if you read the book Caste, and it keeps people from experiencing true democracy. What critical race theory says, no, it's race. We center race in that, and the Marxist says we think that you should center class, and then the intersection should be race and gender and sex. And the critical race says no, we're going to center race, and the intersection is going to be class and gender, and
because race plays a part in how class is divided, and class breaks down the capitalistic sentiment of where folks fall in line at. So when we talk about race, I think of course that has to be the first thing first.
Right. Well,
and then that's having a real conversation about race, right?
Right.
And even in a capitalistic world, right, you need the working class, right? But then you have that 1% who are building off of that working class, right? The foundation.
Right.
See, how do we get into a mindset where it's not based upon a class system, right? And even we can be socialists, right? How do we look at this, even for Black people? How do we make a change?
Don't be scaring people, because you start mentioning socialism and communism
Come on,
and Marxism, and people be like, ooh Lord, right?
I'm saying, like, what we gonna do? And it's just like this two-party system, you know, including the independents, right? It's the same thing with the Democrats and Republicans. You know, people are so sick and tired of these two-party systems. And they just over it, right? But then it's also like, okay, well, if you're not gonna be engaged, like, what are you gonna do to change the circumstance? So do we just build our own system of government where we elect our own leaders in our communities, right? And we form our own economic drivers in our regions? Like, when do we start? I guess when do we start putting some action to it? Because we can cry all day and just try to say, like, I'm going to vote for this legislator to change policy and change law. That person get in there and drags feet and then finds himself crumbled and humbled by a lot of things and forces against him. So when do we say, all right, when do we just pull out of this? When we pull all our money, our cash stock, our war chest, and we say we are done with playing with y'all. We're going to use our dollars. We're going to make sure that we develop our own systems, accountability and measures and vision and master plans for the future. It's like that's where it's going to take for Black people to pull together, because for one, they're going to have to be unified to do that. We got to be together on this. We got to say we all buy into this system. We all going to do it. We all going to make a difference together. And if we all say we're going to pull, I'm talking about the football players, the basketball players, I'm talking about our entrepreneurs, I'm talking about our entertainers, I'm talking about our brothers from the streets, our academic people who went off to got higher education. We want to be able to be all moving at this as like one solid team and saying, just like that Asian hate bill got passed, right? It took $190 million to make that happen. They didn't have to protest. They had to demonstrate. They had to do none of that, right? They sit at home, right, watching it pass, right? When do we say, all right, well, listen, we got to be on one accord to say we are not liking how we've been treated. We can't go back to what's been going on. So what do we feel and how do we develop a plan that we all going to get behind? But then follow it through, not sell each other out, not going to tell the master what the plan is, not try to stay stagnant and continue to benefit off our demise and disenfranchisement.
No, that's good. That works.
Yeah, I get worked up about this stuff, but like, when do we sit up there and say, take true, when we gonna take the bull by the horns? When we gonna really do some stuff? I'm saying, Dr. P, I know you're a real one.
Those are the questions that we have to begin to ask. And I want to say it's going to get to the point where we will have no other option. Y'all may not be recognizing what's happening, but the European is being real clear. When you can't vote because they're setting up legislation that gerrymandering, where your vote is not going to count anyway, and they won't pass the laws in Congress. They won't even defund the police or any other thing with the police, so they're gonna be whooping you over the head.
They won't even pass the George Floyd policing act.
Listen,
hung up in the Senate right now.
Just stop.
And we ain't even head over heels about this stuff, right? But I guarantee you, man, when a situation take place, somewhere out the way, when a young brother being done wrong or young sister in captivity, and something happened, watch me get out there, be ready to protest and get the Black Lives Matter t-shirts.
But it's going to get to the point where we are going to have to begin to collaborate. And don't be so sick of it. Look, listen.
I'm telling you, man.
You have to have.
I'm just Dr. P. I'm sorry.
I'm tired.
I'm burnt out with all this stuff we be on sometimes.
Listen.
I know you trying to say, you trying to say the car. I got you. I'm with you on all that. Oh, I swear, $100,000.
Yeah, right? But you know, we got to start somewhere.
Sometimes we be in the way. We in the way. This stuff should have been done.
No, here's what I think. Okay, is that what happens is, and we don't understand how systems work, right? So if you think about it, in the 60s, we protested in a particular way. And
how did y'all protest in the 60s?
We marched, we did the same. We marched, we did what you're doing now. We marched and we protested and we blah blah, that same thing that y'all doing now. Almost made me want to cuss.
No justice, no peace.
Yep, that too. Listen, I just want to say, but you should learn from that. You don't go get that and start doing it in 2022. It's not.
Oh my
Listen,
God.
the systems like your body. If you get a virus, your body works to eradicate the virus, and then it creates an immune system, right? Like this is an immune system has already been established. When we protest now, they co-opted. The corporations put money into it, and it's co-opted, and they don't mind you moaning and groaning for a second because they know it's going to die down, and we'll be back to everything as usual. So that's not going to be how we get anything. Like,
man, they just wait for you. You know,
right.
It's like a lion in the jungle, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't attack the zebra. The zebra going down any minute.
But they understand how it works, y'all. Y'all slow. Y'all act like this is we starting fresh. This is not fresh.
Right.
We already seen this.
We already seen it.
We cut that off at the leg this way, right?
Here they come. Here they come with this again.
Right? That's not working. So you are really laughing at this. So we have to start new. So how do we, and that's where the young ones come in, right? Because they're the ancestors coming back through. How do we rethink what it is that we want to accomplish? And I think that even in terms of when we talk about liberation, I think that we need to answer, what is liberation to us in 2022? Because when I ask, so what is freedom in 2022? Because people think they know what it is. It's not the freedom of 1965. It's the freedom of 2022. So we don't, as a people, have not clearly defined what freedom looks like. We think freedom is, I can give me a job working for Master so and so, and I can go to college. You know what? Like, can I have businesses on Saginaw Street?
Right.
After 50 years of no businesses on Saginaw. So you understand what I'm saying? How are we educating children and they don't understand that we have community that we need to create and invest back in, and even if you leave, bring the money back, right? Like build something, right? And so,
right.
So it is hot. So we need to educate for our liberation, our freedom, but we got to define it. And I think that's
I like that. You're absolutely right. We are not fighting to sit on the front seat of the bus, right?
Right.
Because we are all in the bus right now, right?
Right.
We are not fighting to eat apple pie, American apple pie.
Right.
And you're right. That fight was the 60 fight, right?
That was the 60s, right?
They did phenomenally well, right? We picking up now.
Right.
We like, all right, well, listen, first and foremost, we got to protect our people. Y'all not finna come in our neighborhoods and our borders and just coming in and disrespecting our folks, right?
Right.
You're coming in, killing our people because that's a problem, and it's been a problem, right? You're not going to outline us through policies anymore and procedures, right? We is astute to that. Now, we know how that play out. Gerrymandering, redlining, redistricting commissions, and all these different things in place to minimize your voice. We know this, right? We there. In 2022, we got to be very serious. I'm talking about what we want now, like what we want now, but then how do we leverage that for the future?
Right. And those are, we need to collectively sit and have those discussions because I don't think we're thinking along that line of, what, especially after this pandemic, it's not right. And Biden just in the legislature just what signed in a bill where Ukraine gets $800 million. Right?
Yeah, we're gonna send 800 billion to Ukraine. Right. But y'all, man, brothers right down the street from DC, man, homeless out there. They ain't dropped a care package out there. an indigent pack or nothing. Right? You're talking about
Okay.
this is the type of move we be making. Oh, we gonna send $1 billion to Israel, right? Every year, just because. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we be talking like, you know what I'm saying, we raising inflation and things is getting higher, you know, and they finding printing money up and just gonna giving it to folks, right? They know Russia didn't start it and try to take over that place, Ukraine. They've been looking to get that back since the Soviet Union.
Yeah, it was theirs anyway. I'm laughing because I'm like,
it was theirs. That's what I'm saying. It was theirs anyway. So
why are we even in that? Right? There's some oil that we want to get, and there's some,
you know, some tie-ins and some oil.
And do we have some bases in there? Must be some bases somewhere, some military bases somewhere around there that we concerned about, because
they got Crimea. They did that back in 2014. So, you know, this is the thing. You know, they annexed in a certain location. They came in the back door, and now they looking to take it over, and that's just what they've been known to do. So I don't think this is anything different from what was going on in the past with them just colonizing different countries.
Right.
Right? They just taking Ukraine back. Now we want to be, you know, be empathetic, but they right on over there being oppressive to Black Kenyans who just trying to come in and get further.
Isn't that something?
Man, I'm sick of this. Like, how can we feel bad for y'all? Right?
Right.
Look at y'all, like, you know what I'm saying? I see why Putin came in there and ran up on y'all. This ain't got nothing to do with us. I'm calling the Black Nation New, Black African Nation. And listen, we standing back and standing by on this one. We ain't if they want to we want to get some oil over here to Africa, then we might, you know, negotiate. And we trying to build back up to be a superpower.
Right.
We're looking at getting some nukes. Like, we doing our own thing, right? You know what I'm saying? You got to have a type of power force around here now. And I do, and if you see that Africa is actually in a position to leverage on both ends, from the West and Russia. China. I will be looking at it like this. Listen, you know, we want our military bases built up. We want 7,000 nukes. We want to be a super player, right? And everybody, the African nation, right? We all a part of this, moving as one. And so, did you see that Russia is trying to provide not only military experience, but then also billions of dollars of resources to African continent, to the African African countries, to get them on that side. Then the West is trying to counter that, right? You got to watch these type of things that take place. They be doing this stuff behind the scenes just to try to get our support, because, you know, Africa is the major player right there, right? So we got to be strategic how we move and how we leverage, but then how we get back in supreme position, and you play them all. That's the type of flow and type of mindset we got to be. And us over here in America, Black folks in America, we support our African nation. We ain't we don't care about the Ukraine. We don't care about what's going on with Russia.
Right.
We care about none of that stuff. We support the African nation. We want to get our Kenya students out of there safe and sound.
Right.
Bring Brittany Griner back. We need to get her over here back to the States. Right. Those are the missions that we own.
Yep.
We'll get some of that oil in the meantime. Like, you know what I'm saying? Leave a couple barrels to the side for us, and we'll come through the back door and scoop them up out of there.
Okay. I want to bring it home, though. Let's bring it back. Pull it back.
Okay, come on.
So I'm constantly wanting to think more deeply about how do we have brothers, we have young African-American males who, and I think it's the educational system, right? And remember I said, if you're not teaching them who they are, and you're not, one of the things that African people, as melanated people, and you have to go back and think about when we had not encountered the European. One of the things we did in our communities was our children belonged to community. And our children, when they came in, we helped them to understand who they are and what their place was in community. When we have young brothers killing up each other, it's because they don't understand who they are and where their place is in community.
Yeah.
And so, and they're not going to get that going to school, right? And we already know, because the largest group of dropouts is our young African-American males. Like, they're literally pushed out and nobody cares. Right, because we just stick them in prison, incarcerate them. We'll find some charged, incarcerate.
We'll find a place for them. Don't worry about it. Right.
So the saviors of young brothers look like you.
How is that?
Because
elaborate, yeah.
because
Cause you going somewhere.
yeah, you're right. But because if you as the masculine energy
Mm-hmm.
and masculine energy and manifestation of God cannot grab them
Mm-hmm.
and help them, because we used to have rites of passage, and you know that from
We still got rights of passage. We
well,
at the Southwestern High School right now with it.
oh, okay, but you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that was a village. That was
yeah.
a village thing. And
Mm-hmm.
no young brother who got to a certain age, we took them out and they had an experience with brothers, right?
Mm.
And the brothers loved on them, did what brothers do to them and for
Mm-hmm.
them. You know how they go. I better not do. But help them come into their manhood and recognize and respected them as men when they stepped into manhood. You know, I see you,
Mm-hmm.
I acknowledge you,
You do.
right? You
Mm-hmm.
are now a part of the manhood here, and your responsibility is to do what we do in protecting the village.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't doing that, y'all. We're not doing that for them. And then we look at them and get mad because they kill up each other because their hormones, the stuff that they need to do because of their testosterone. Who's giving them those opportunities?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's why you always see brothers tussling and wrestling. That's part of the testosterone. That's like what, I don't know, ain't them deers or that's nature. What animals do that? They have the horns on and
they get the
bucking, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. That's why young brothers go up against their daddies at a certain point in their life, right? And then daddies have, how many of y'all daddies have to like, hold up, grab them by the collar and put them in their
Right?
But brothers knew how to do that and how to bring and how to align them and bring them in.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it as a village. We don't do that now. How do we help and assist our young brothers to know who they are when the world is telling them they're criminals and hates them?
Mm.
They hate them. The women, black women, don't know and understand and recognize that we hate them too because we're suffering from white supremacy. I'm
glad you said that. I got to tune in right there. Like, I'm just being honest, right? It's very unfortunate. Yeah, I understand. The brothers have fell short over the years of, when you talk about going back to the slavery days, when you're talking about when the man, the father, the head of the household were getting bucked, right? When you're talking about, bucking, man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, just, sodomizing them in front of their sons and daughters and their wife.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And just, and then the wife feel like she's being attacked and, whipped, and the man is not able to do anything. So she lost a lot of respect for the man in that order. And I think, at that time we should have been running and killing everybody around there, because just being honest, that's kind of how we lost a lot of respect from our women. And then to continue to carry on in this manner that we have been doing for the last, years, centuries or so. It's been like that. So, we take blame. We take part of that. Like, we should always be protectors. We should always make sure that, we're on the front side. We're willing to die for this, right? I understand, keeping the family together and saying, hey, listen, you got to sacrifice it because we need you here. You need to make sure to make it make sense. Kind of have to go through this. But sometimes it's like, no, I'd rather die on my feet, my knees. So I have to go ahead and take this, right? This is for the team. And hopefully, we all feeling like this. That's the type of energy that we've been missing. But then that's the type of relationship that we miss with our queens. Trust and believe. We want to be back there. We want to be at a point where it's 50-50. We bring in the Ma'at. I seen Becky Brown talk about the Ma'at.
I saw that.
We bring in that type of energy where we are the balance, right? Because our queens are phenomenal creators. They are the women of this world, this earth, right? They bring life into this existence. So, we have to be there to, to be the equal and continue to uplift that and support that. But then also, be leaders out there and be strong, be warriors about what we believe in. And then we'll win that respect back from our women. And then our women, a man will respect our women the way that we're supposed to. And things will be in a natural order. Right now it's off. Like they talk to the man like he ain't nothing. That then the children see that. And they probably end up interpreting that as he ain't nothing, right? And then, they start looking at him, like you said, the son started looking at it like he can challenge him at one point in time in life. The daughter is not respecting and treating him the way that a father, should be treated. It's just unfortunate. And sometimes I don't think our women, they be so high strung, or they be upset about the relationship, or they just be mad, period, right? They might just be white supremacists too. But they really taking hold of this way of life, and it has put us at the wayside. And I think that's hurt a lot of the males too, because sometimes they feel they can't even be a man. If you can't provide for your family, you can't take care of your children, or you can't love on your woman the way that you want to and do nice things for her, then you feel less of a man.
Okay, stop. That's BS. So where do you get where does that value system come from?
Which value system?
I need to be the man. I got to take care of my women. I got to provide. Where do we get that value system from?
Well, man, what I'm saying is, a man has a role and responsibility is to provide.
Where did you get that from?
Where did I get it from?
Yeah.
I'm talking about from the African village. We was always going out there and make sure that we protect the lands in the village, and we went out to hunt, go get the food. I'm talking from that.
But we're not there now, right?
Yeah,
So we're in 2022.
Okay, yeah, and that's why I said it's an equal thing. It's a 50-50. Like, those are defined by the two people engaged in that relationship.
Okay, right. Okay, so that's a little different, right? Okay. So now that we're in 2022, we've evolved. Contextually, the world is different.
Okay.
What does that look like for us now, right? And we got to examine this trauma that we've been up under. Like, you can't eat from the table of white supremacy. I keep telling y'all, there's nobody in America that's not a white supremacist. Just stop. Just stop. Even though you black and you want liberation of black people, you are a white supremacist. You've been indoctrinated. You look at TV, you go to movies, everything about you are positioned as a white person. You just got chocolate skin. Everything. And
I'm a white person. I'm black as all get up.
Unless you stop, every value you got, unless you stop. If you are promoting capitalism, you're a white supremacist. There are other economies that we could have that would be more egalitarian and would be more and more sensitive to people, right? But we don't even go there because we're in capitalism, so we think that's the only way. If you think about the Black Panther Party, they came up with other ways of having economy. They co-opted. They gave free this and free that. There are other ways of being in our community. But what we do is, anyway. So we just become Black capitalists. And we boast of that, right? And so I'm saying, like, that's our standard of measure. If capitalism is your standard of measure, you are a white supremacist. And just stop. And I'm not saying you can't have that. I'm saying stop and begin to look at why you think what you think. You've been sitting at the table, you've been eating from that table so much and so long, you cannot discern what is your cultural worldview from theirs. And you operating from theirs and wonder why you crazy. You crazy because it's almost like what is that when you got the schizophrenic? You got these two voices talking in your head, right?
Right.
And so
you don't know which one to believe. You're right. It feels as if you're going psycho and deranged.
W.E.B. Du Bois said, Black people problems is double consciousness.
Oh my God. But I see what you mean when you talk about capitalism, and you talking from a white colonial mindset. That's what they did. And there is other economies that we can develop. You're absolutely right. I think for us, we have to have, that's why the education is so important. We have to have a conversation centered around that, right? And have some real ideal goals.
Right.
I don't think that life be happening so fast for us, and we under a epidemic, and we just can't really get it together. We can't sit down.
We can start small.
Start small, yeah.
Right, like you're doing right now. You can start small,
right,
and begin to
build out
with like-minded thinkers, like you're doing right now.
But that's a slow roll.
Well, we got here, it was a low road. And you ain't gonna get out of this mess. Like, it's not, it ain't happening. Like, we ain't pulling the curtain back and seeing the Wizard of Oz behind it. Right? Like, it ain't happening like that. It's going to be a slow road. Saturday schools, start the Saturday schools. I see piece by piece.
Piece by piece. Piece by piece, cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Bada says start Saturday schools.
Yeah.
I think we do need to get back in there on Saturdays. We need to have a year-round school going on just to get us back up to par, right? And we learning about other industries that we can create and bring back, to this America, to this system, just in general. But you're absolutely right. I think we have to give ourselves enough time to be able to strategize and properly plan. But then, that be the kind of the hard part, because
we can create the model, though. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, and I'm thinking we can create the model, right? And then transplant that model, around the country.
Right.
Something to think about.
I think so. If we can really start saying, starting small, like-minded individuals, start really developing a plan that addresses, maybe we start small with maybe 3 to 5 pillars, right? When you're talking about policies, politics, if you want to call it politics, policies and procedures. We need an economic plan, because we in a capitalistic world. We know that we're living in. We got to have some money behind our voice. Then also, when you look at the public health, because you got to have a high quality of life. When you're talking about trying to be out here and be activated, first thing is to be alive. So we need to make sure that we look at the social determinants that's taking place in our community that affects our life and our livelihood, and address those things, right? The way do we eat, access to care, right? Those things that we don't really think about or care, or not. I ain't gonna say we don't care. Just nothing that we put emphasis on. And then also, when we talking about public safety, I always tell us, man, we gotta have some mercenaries. We gotta have a military. We gotta have a force. And I'm saying a force of men, women, like force. Everybody know how to operate, artillery. Everybody knows how to harvest, make, plant food, right? Because these things is important. What if something go down? We in war right now. They talking about World War III. What if something go down and we not prepared for
it? I'm sorry. Everybody could have a gun, but black people, you would have to say it out. Like the Europeans, they ain't changed. They're not comfortable with y'all with guns. And a military, a militia, they'll come up with some more laws that outlaw.
Let them come up with some laws. We got it. And then we gonna change the game on them, right? You know what I'm saying? We got to learn these loopholes, and we got to be about it, right?
Right.
They don't expect us to be walking around with guns, but I guarantee when we went to Lansing, they didn't expect us to be at Lansing with guns on the premises. I don't know what they thought, but this is a different vibe right now. This generation is with all that. You know what I'm saying? So we pulling up, walking up on them. Got the same gun they got with more bullets, right? I think it's the thing is saying like, man, listen, we not playing. I think, what I'm saying? This is the thing now. It's like now or never. And if we ain't got that in us, nobody gonna take it serious.
Yeah.
And I know you. No,
you
know what I'm saying? Man, I'm just saying, I'm telling you.
Listen, I'm in Minneapolis and everybody here got a gun. Like they got guns and see, but now you see what it does, because Amir, he had his CCW, he had the right to carry and right. But and then, like they're weary here. They are very hyper vigilant about, and with good cause here. I'm just to me, it's like with good cause.
But they weary, and then now they want to take away CRT. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to know what they done to your people. They don't want you to have guns. They don't want you to fight back. They want you to be servitude. So it's like when we say like, all right, well, listen, we're gonna shatter all that, right? Because y'all must not know who y'all dealing with.
But that's always been the history here, is that this, if you think about, it's always been a struggle. There's never been, let's try that. There have been times of harmony. Levels of harmony. If you think about in the 1600s, when the Irish were here as slaves, they tried to tell us it was indentured, but they were actual slaves. They were kidnapping those people and bringing them here. They were dumping England was dumping its prisons. They were stealing children and bringing them here and working them on the tobacco farms and plantations. I'm sorry. So, but and that, you know what? There was a time that African people were not even here as there were whites that were here as enslaved beings, and African people were not here. There was a period of time, but the European, had a less ability to withstand the sun than we did, and so eventually we wound up here. But there was a time when we were in harmony together, that we fought together, right? And that's when race came. They created this racial contract where race became an issue, where we identify these are white people, and these are the benefits of being white,
right.
and you will never be a perpetual slave, and these are the benefits of being, well, not benefits, but this is what happens as a Black person. But there was we fought together,
right,
and we lived together, we cohabitated together, we made babies together, and so there was a time, and that was a threat. And if you understand, if it was a threat then surely it is a threat now. Right? And so in George Floyd, and when we began to have that, we protest all over the world, and Black and white people were coming out, forget COVID, like everybody was out and they were protesting, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And we were talking about, race, and we were having all these discussions, and folk got scared. And
what you mean? How they get scared? What they were scared for?
Because we were unifying.
But that's the beauty in it. That's why.
No, that's the beauty for us.
That's what I mean.
But for the people who are in power, you have to keep division. You cannot allow this coming together. And so you create, and that's why we have the ban on CRT, the ban on books. That's why we have, gerrymandering. That's why all of this is now.
So what we gonna do then? If we know that they don't want us to band together, during those protests in 2020, folks weren't going to work. People had time to come out. People was out there in the streets. They wasn't tripping about, being out there. So yeah, that was a wonderful energy. But my thing is this though, like, what we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? If they don't want us to unify, I think, we should be putting in place methods that's gonna create ways for us to unify.
Right.
Organically.
Right. We have to become imaginative. We have to become imaginative and tap into them same powers that create rap songs. Them same powers that create new dances. Them same powers that, I don't know, we can fall out and get slain in the spirit for in the church. Those same powers, but that's real power. But we don't utilize it.
Right.
And that's the power we need to learn how to tap into.
You said a whole mouthful about them churches. I'm still waiting on the church folks to come on now. I was waiting for their protest. I had a seat in the front. And, the preachers never showed up, but it's all good though.
Okay, Philip, I see your comment too. You're right. Yeah, right. I'm not listening to you, Duane.
I was trying to take you there. Where my boy Barry at, man? See, we met brothers like Barry on the block, man. He had us young boys out there playing ball. He ain't had no time to be playing around because he had us doing all these different things in the neighborhood, man. That was a solid brother. We need anchors in neighborhoods like that.
Right. Barry's in U.S. Virgin Islands, sitting on the beach with some sunshine and in heaven. So I just want you to know, while I'm freezing in Minneapolis, he is in the sun beach on the islands. Yeah.
But Barry deserved it all, though, man. Barry was too good of a brother.
But you know what? That's cool.
He deserved all this, man. He ain't hear nobody. He ain't nothing else, man. That's all I want, Dr. B. Dude put me in work for about 30 years, 40 years, and I was live on the Virgin Islands. I'm back in Africa. I got my 10 more years of hard work, man.
You got work, and you got to bring up the next generation. So I'm sorry, bro. You don't get off that easy. You got too many people to trade. You got people you got to put in place. So,
man, I'm trying to tell you, but I really appreciate brother like Barry, and I'm glad that he is living his life. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing to be out there doing
To anybody who's listening, he's talking about Barry, my brother, who was in the community, his community, working with young men, playing basketball. He played basketball till he's well in his 60s.
He did. He sure did. He used to come get us all. Like, we was all in the neighborhood. Like, we was all young boys in the neighborhood. He used to grab his sons, BJ, the other one. What is Jamal?
Jamal and Michael, yeah.
Jamal, Mike, yeah. We used to be all in the neighborhood. Juan, shout out to 7 Block. Juan, shout out Avenue, right? LOE, right? Lawrence, Stefan.
Yeah.
Then we had, listen, I remember one time we over Barry House, we drew the 3-point line and free throw line. That was like the best game we had, right? That was amazing because it really gave us a real NBA feel. We drafted each other before we got in. we had the floor, his driveway painted up with, with the 3-point line. Hey, man, that was, I remember that to this day because it was like one of the funnest days that we had in the neighborhood. Everybody was there. We had peace afterwards, and we were just all linked up together. So I wish that more of the young children had those type of anchors in the community.
Now is the time.
Yeah.
Now is the time.
So give us some parting ways. What's some things that we should definitely take from the conversation when we talk about CRT? What's some of the things that we want to develop and and us produce as Black people? And then, what do we look like in the future, right? Is we going to be a part of this political structure, this system, this system that continues to try to oppress us and hide the truth?
That's way too many questions. Stop. Don't ask another question.
Yeah.
So let me talk about CRT. There's this website that they have called the Heritage Institute. Has crafted and created a website for any fearful European American parents who need to be able to identify what CRT is, and it's filled with truth, lie. So I just want to say that. And so people who think they know what CRT is, if they look at that website, they're going to get the first part will grab you, it's the truth, and then the rest of it is lies. And do you recognize that they're using, our words almost like against us? Like why are we not judged by the content of our character rather than the color of our skin? And we don't want our children to feel bad and guilty about who they are for, and it's all about race. And nobody, has even acknowledged our children have been centuries going to schools. Oh, not centuries. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? What about the Black feeling though? What about Black folks who've been subjected to this behavior?
Even now, our children, I talk to young people all the time. We talk about how they feel invisible, how they feel othered, how they feel like nobody expects them to learn. So they're suffering violence every day. They're suffering abuse of their spirit. The murder, as I think Bettina Love says, the murder of their spirits every day. And nobody is seeing that as a problem. It's just right. And so when somebody comes to you about CRT, tell them that it's not being taught in the school, and it is a theoretical frame that is used to study phenomena in higher education. It's not done it's not. So if they want to link, what they do is they link, what is that? Diversity training. They link that to
cultural competency.
Right. And somebody said something really well. They said they want to ban CRT, but they really want to ban cultural relevancy training. Teaching.
That's deep.
No, I'm sorry. Culturally relevant teaching. That's what they call it. And that's the Gloria Ladson Billings, where she said, our children should be receiving education that, speaks to who they are culturally. And it's not just African children of African descent, but it's also, there are Latino X children, there are Asian children, there are, Native indigenous children that, their culture should be relevant and important to the discussions. When children learn mathematics, they should know that it's more than Europeans that created math. And there is something called ethno-mathematics, where other ethnicities have discovered ways of teaching math, have mathematical systems that are never taught. And so that's what it is that they no longer want, are trying to dismiss. If you're banning books, they don't even know that's Nazi Germany. If you ban, and so like we are on a slippery slide into fascism, right? Into
Mm.
Nazi Germany. When you are telling people what they can read, then that controls what they can think.
Yeah.
But we call ourselves free and a democracy. So
No, that's actually that's a good point. I think, you know, taking away your democracy when you're not able to read up on certain subjects and you don't know history,
mm-hmm.
kind of just moving from here on out, it's kind of hard to
Mm-hmm.
kind of see where you came from to know where
Right.
you're going.
Right.
I mean, you're right. You know, so but that's why we have to go ahead.
Yeah.
That reminds me of what they did in Africa when they burnt the libraries, right?
Yeah. Right.
All our history and it's
Yes.
in Europe somewhere, right?
Right. But
So
there's a
yes. Yeah. So
there's a
they
reason. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
okay.
You got me excited now. Okay, but the reason why is because then they can create alternative narratives.
Yes, right. That's right. Come
And
on.
they've done that over the years, y'all. Right? We don't talk about white slavery, right? Like, why not? We don't talk because they've changed the history books. That's not there. The Daughters of the Revolution changed the history. They're so like they try to tell us that the Civil War was not fought over slavery, right? And then we had to have people come do the research and bring back primary source material to show what every state was saying about why they were seceding, right?
Right.
Right. But we had to do that because that's not the stories that we were getting. So,
right.
Yeah.
You said it was the Daughters of the Revolution?
Yeah, the Daughters of the Revolution. Yeah. So Daughters of the Confederacy. That's it, Philip. Daughters of the Confederacy.
Daughters of the Confederacy. Okay, yeah.
And so we have to be aware. Like we have to be self-taught. That's why, you know, being concerned about trying to get our children in schools is not going to do anything but keep them in this place. We have to be self-taught. So at home, we have to be working to expose our children to, and that means we got to do the research. You can't be lazy here because the game is such that you can't afford to be a lazy player. You've got to be about the business. So as we think about creating, we need to also think about creating committees that do particular work. Everybody don't need to be a researcher. Everybody don't need to be, you know, we're going to deal with policing. Everybody don't need to be what we're going to deal with healthcare. But you need to create committees and people be responsible. Thank you, Becky. You're right, Dr. Amos Wilson. And we need probably a book study so we can educate ourselves. Right.
That's why I was trying to tailor, kind of tag some of these books that you had reference to. I do want to get the 1984 book for sure.
Yeah, definitely read. You can get an audio book. Look, don't go buy it. Go to YouTube and they have the audio book. Just, you know, when you're busy doing something, just listen to it.
Now, are you going to the 1619 project that'll be taking place at Capitol Theater? Oh, you forgot you're in Minnesota. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I won't be going, but I'd say let me encourage you who are in Flint. That is something you don't want to miss. To me, she is a modern day, and this is really, she's a modern day Angela Davis to me. She is. I mean, if she is the reason that, you know, CRT, like people lost their minds and started banning CRT and all that, you know, then she's worth listening to. You need to
she's definitely worth listening to.
And go to her YouTubes where she's spoken and listen to her. She is profound. And I believe that as many people in Flint need to go there, but I guarantee you there are going to be people from Detroit, from Grand Rapids, from Lansing, from everywhere trying to get to hear her. So
you know what?
And it's free.
It's free, right? It don't get no better. I think it's more of a it's an educational opportunity for us, and I think you know this is something. I definitely highly encourage everybody to come on down and come check it out because it's some pertinent information that we need to know. But then just kind of give us some insight as it relates to what's going on with that project and how it came about.
Yeah,
definitely big shout out to the sister for sure.
Yes. All right.
But you know, so I tell you what, I did I think, you know, for one, thank you everybody who came in.
Yes, thank you.
Onto the platform. You got some folks on the YouTube and you got some folks on the Facebook Live. Just really kind of chiming in. So we appreciate everybody. Becky, Phil, Miss Merritt, right? Bada, right? Kathleen, Miss King,
Yeah, I've learned a lot from Philip. Like he keeps popping out all this
He
new.
does. He does. He's all and what's up, Wade? He's always what's up, Val? He's always giving some real insightful information, man. So, man, when you talk about like-minded individuals, I appreciate folks that come to the table with something. Man, don't be coming over here, just spewing nonsense and being divisive and all that old silly stuff, man. Because we ain't supporting none of that mess. I don't care who you are. That stuff is over with. And we got to hold standards of how we dealing with each other, how we moving. How we even, talk and build with one another. Like this got to be a new day. Because obviously the way that we've been going about it has not worked for us and it won't work for us.
Right.
We have to be unified. We have to know how to deal with problems. If there's some issues that we have personally with another individual, then we have to know how to take it to them and not be a bad seed for this culture and not for our people or this community. Like that is sickening. Like, that remind me of those folks. And like those collaborators, those folks like Harriet Tubman said, stay far away from because they was gonna give us away. They always sell us away, and I'm just like so tired of just even seeing us be under that and even acting like that's the way of life for us. We ain't never been about that. We always been about nurturing spirits. We always been good, positive people. We've always loved. We always valued our children, like Dr. P said. Our children are geniuses. They coming from another spirit. They come from a different energy.
Oh yeah.
And so we be tainting them with all this worldly stuff that we try to do and try to infuse their mind with the nonsense and garbage that you may have learned coming up. Man, we got to stop doing that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want my son to be growing up like I grew up. And that ain't gonna happen. So my point of it is giving them information, insight. Hopefully he take it and retain, and he continue to be a bright spot for the community and the future beyond. So
yeah,
you hit on some real powerful points, and I just thank you for being a beautiful spirit and always being down for the culture. You are a Freedom School rep. You continue to keep making sure our young people are educated.
Yes.
Even when you was at University of Michigan, you was a firecracker. So the thing is, we need that. We don't need people being complacent and sitting there.
Yeah.
While I'm on the board, or I'm up in here in the institution, or I'm at the foundation.
Yeah.
Ain't doing nothing. You ain't making no difference for us. So what do it matter? We don't care about that. You don't hear that, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But they're me. They're, the beings. Flint is me. And that I grew up in Flint. That was,
right.
And I watched it. And I, never in my wildest mind could I have imagined that Flint would have been, as a kid growing up, you just think it's gonna be, it's gonna always be this great place and all these people, and
you want to think that for sure.
Right. And then like I said, I went away for school and I came back and I looked and I said, what has happened? Looked like a bomb fell. Somebody just dropped a bomb in the middle of the city. And it's been challenging. And I think there's some amazing people that are in the city, y'all, and this your strength and your love. Right. And your and I don't want to say resiliency because I'm getting where I hate that word. It's your ability to, how you go into an old raggedy house. Mama would say, you go to a raggedy house and you get like, you get excited because, I can do this and they can do this and somebody else come in and they ain't got that. They're looking like, this is a raggedy house. What are you talking about, right? Right? And this is how we are about Flint. Like,
right. I don't even want to be here.
right. But there's opportunities.
But then,
right? You can put that wall up over there. Yes, a little lean over. Oh, no, we can just prop that up. We're going to get that, y'all, and make it beautiful again. We know the beauty of this, and that's why we're fighting so hard. Y'all don't even know. There are spiritually, I really believe spiritually, there is a war over the city. It's been there for a while. Right. And for you who are in the city, y'all are the warriors. You use that word, brother. Y'all are the warriors for the health and the spirit of the city. Y'all the warriors for that. So everything y'all do, every prayer y'all make, every investment you put in the city, I'm telling you, it's not in vain. It's going to be worth it. And for you say shout out to Shardy Shard and shout out to Becky. I didn't acknowledge you, and I want to acknowledge you because you've been doing it too, girl. And and Michelle, I want to acknowledge.
Michelle, big shout out to Michelle.
Michelle, yeah. So thank y'all for showing up and showing out, and and loving on us as we work through this CRT and all the other stuff.
I'm trying to tell you, the fight ain't over, y'all. The fight ain't over. Listen, the war just began. So go ahead and get your second win going, right? Go pull out a baton, right? Those goggles on, right? It's going down. And that's the way that we help. I hope that this conversation was stimulating for the folks who understand.
Yes.
And I hope that we take this message to the broader community and ensure that we enlighten them and get them on board too, because we need everybody in this fight, right? Just
Michelle, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting, but Michelle just said Flint's decline is a whole CRT study by itself, and that's for real, right? Okay, now go ahead.
She said, "Well, she said what?"
Flint's decline is a whole CRT study by itself. I mean, you can look at race, you can look at whiteness as property, you can look at what are the other ones? I mean, the whole gamut. Like the interest convergence. Like you can look at all of that.
Right. Nah, you know what? You own the one, man, and I think we getting it. I think we're getting it. And, like you said, this is slow but surely. We're gonna get there one step at a time. I just hope to see that in our lifetime.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be like, oh, well, you know what? We might not never see it like Martin Luther King said. Well, we might not see it. One day. Then I see the promised land. Yeah, I'm trying to see the promised land today. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of urgency that's going on right now because we've been so behind for so long. We need some relief instantly.
Yeah, but and I know we getting off, but the scary thing is, 50 years ago, I thought we had arrived. I thought, the civil rights, because they were killing black men back then, y'all. Let me just lynching, like, in the 70s, that brother in, was it Texas that they dragged behind on the truck until, it was just body parts, right?
You talking about Jasper, Texas?
Jasper, Texas, right. So they were lynching black men then. So I saw that. So then that's the 60s, and we think, the civil rights, everything's gonna be okay. We can vote. We're gonna get some laws, and they were still lynching black men. But then we got who's the brother in Los Angeles that they beat him on live TV? Rodney King. Was that Rodney King? Yeah. And that was happening, and more and more, and then incarceration, and then Reagan with the whole drug thing in our communities. Crack cocaine tore up our communities, and we didn't even bring it, right? Like that when we had the guns, we had a crack.
None of that.
Right? And they were making money off us, right? So they infiltrated our communities with crack so that they can make money to fund in Nicaragua, right? I think.
Yeah.
So then we get to Obama, and
Rick Ross talks about that a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate him, but let's go to Obama. Now we really thought we had arrived. We arrived. We arrived.
We thought we did, right?
We arrived. We were saved. Jesus was coming back. Yo.
I guess that.
And then we did Trump.
What did he do? Man, Obama.
Yes. So I want to say, I've had a few times where I thought that we were in the promised land, and every time I get that, is like, well, dang, what happened, right? So I just want my brother. So you may get some promised lands that quickly dissipate. I'm just saying.
But you know what? You're absolutely right. To be honest, I'm gonna keep on striving. Continue to keep doing my part.
That's what you gotta
keep
do.
working and kind of corral the young people up, and continue to have dialogue and conversation that kind of puts us on a path for that. So I mean, I guess that's all we can do, and definitely lean on our elder leadership, such as folks like yourself, Mrs. E. Hill Deloney. Big shout out to you all.
Yeah.
You queens are some legends, and I do appreciate you all. So we just got to do the right thing. I think time is of the essence. We got to do it now.
Yes.
And that's all to it.
Yes. And y'all have the power. Don't look for somebody to give it to you. You got it.
That's right.
Utilize what you have.
Young people of this world, we got the power. And we can't say it enough. We do hold the power. It depends on what we do with it. Go determine our outcomes. So thank you. I really did appreciate the conversation with you, Dr. P.
It was so good. Oh my God.
You know, I sound like you was right here, like we doing lucky.
It was, right?
Talking about all the garbage we gotta deal with. That's gonna be like that. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You in our hearts and our spirit, you're a Flintstonian for life.
Oh yeah, that's I'm in Flint more than I am Minneapolis. I kid you not. I'll be on Zoom, and I'm so thankful for Zoom because it allows me to yet be actively involved in Flint. So yeah.
You know what? And that's the beauty in this technology piece right now, right? We able to be in multiple places.
Yeah.
And maybe when you come back, we got to catch up and we got to do some things.
Okay.
Let's hit some corners. Let's go into the university and tell them how much of a terrible job they've been doing with the African American studies.
Thank you. And let me commend you and the brothers for stepping into that. Because if y'all if y'all not said anything, that would have been gone. And because your eyes, you let them know your eyes are on them.
Yeah.
No, that's what you have to do. And you know what? And next step is go to the M Live. You got you.
That's next. That's next. So listen, you know what?
They're afraid of that. If you put them on blast like that, they be backstepping quickly.
I'm gonna tell you like this. Chancellor Dutta and Provost Sonia, you know, they make it a point to definitely have. We have follow-up conversations. We had two of them so far.
I bet.
Yeah, so the next thing is the media is definitely inquiring about what's going on. So you know what we're doing is giving them a top opportunity to make good and make right, right? You know what I'm saying? You can go path A, you can go to path B. Path A gonna be less raunchy, right? And we got to take it there. We will drag you down through there, right? And they know that. And so I think, you know, that's the thing of us continuing to keeping our foot on their necks, right? And making sure that they
you have to. You cannot blink.
No, never. And that's I'm glad you said that. Then also I want to point out too, Davidson School District, I want to say Matthew Smith, who is on the school board for Davidson, proposed what is a CRT ban?
Yes, as a matter of fact, that was the one. Yeah, y'all need to be on top of that. And I'm working with Neighborhood Without Borders to write. We're going to write a letter. We're formulating a letter now. But they're trying to ban CRT in the Genesee schools. I got the resolution on my phone.
You do. She sent it to me, and that's something we got to be mindful for, man. You know, like these Republican lawmakers try to X you out from voting, right? These Republican lawmakers are trying to, you know, co-opt the educational system. So you know what I'm saying? These things is real, right? And I don't understand it. We got no time for play. So we need to put that TV up. Right. We need to put that drink and them weeds down. Right. We need to have some real dialogue with each other and say, like, you know what, we got to get our visionary hats on and we got to do this for us. Like, we ain't doing this for nothing else and nobody. We doing this for us.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, we're going to keep you updated on those two right there, too. And they've been trying to kick off Shotty Sharp said they've been trying to kick him off for a minute. I've seen a number of different things of them trying to get that guy out the mix. And, man, he looks ridiculous out here, right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to have to run up on him in the streets. I think that's something that's crazy for you to sit up here and try to outlaw, you know, critical thinking, right? As it relates to race. You crazy? This is the reason why we in this mess in the first place. So you're absolutely right. We're gonna stay diligent on University of Michigan Flint, just so that folks know on this broadcast know that they were trying to take away the African American studies. See, they be doing stuff behind our back. Sometimes we only be knowing what they be doing until it's already done. We caught their ass. They trying to go ahead and really, you know, mortify that class, that course, where they can't offer it anymore. And they talk about nobody's interested. Well, you ain't even making the course appealing. So we got to go ahead and make sure that this course is appealing. We got some instructors connecting with our African instructors from the African continent. And we're going to do this thing for real. We're going to take them into the community. They want to do more Black Lives Matter work. They want to get engaged to what's going on today, like what Black folks is dealing with right now, right? And really make that program what it's supposed to be, right? And And we doing this for Woodrow Stanley, because if it wasn't for him and Charles Winfrey, pushing that program at University of Michigan, we never had it as a primary course. So
yeah,
we own to something. You know what I'm saying? We standing
Mm-hmm.
up for what we believe in,
Mm-hmm.
and we ain't sitting down for none of these clowns. So I appreciate you for continue to always lighting the fire on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm energized. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to work another 10 hours off of this. Yeah,
That's wonderful.
That's the vibe that we should have. So let's keep making waves. And then also too, in the meantime, let's bring you back, make some time available for us so we can continue to have conversations about it.
Yeah.
And I love what Michelle just put in there. CTI bands aren't only on social media. Each one teach one. Caucasians resisting truth. Oh, that's Michelle, we drop the mic right there for you. Big shout out to you for putting that down, laying it down like that. They always try to resist the truth. They be scared when you're knowledgeable and you ain't scared, and you really run up on them like that with that energy. They don't want that, right? So we all should carry that.
Right? I'm co-opting that. I'm writing that right now.
You want to write that down too. That's a hard one, Michelle. Can we have that? Can we have it? Give us a smile. Give us a heart if we can have it. Right?
We can have that. I like that.
Oh, she get Shar giving a heart. Yeah, Becky said, yeah, got a heart. Yeah, we can get up. We can have it. Okay. We're gonna credit you though, Michelle, for sure. Resisting truth. All right. And on that note, we want to definitely say we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Yeah. Be sure to subscribe. Phil, are you subscribed to the show? I should put this in the chat. 1 second. Don't even worry about it. I'm going to put this in the chat. What else you got going on, Dr. P?
I just published 2 books, y'all. And to the ladies in the house, I have a book that's called, they're on Amazon. One is called The Playbook. I was going to show it to you. But it's an adult coloring activity book and mindfulness journal for women. It's self-care for women and for sisterhood groups. So if you get a chance, check it out. I'm so excited about this book. And I have a few people, groups, women coaches who are using the book to work with other women. And I also published a book called Unholy Eruptions, Pandemics of the Heart. And I was just going through with 2020 and dealing with my own trauma. And so it was me writing my ponderings about the trauma of 2020 and getting through. And so that's in that book. So it's told in third person. So I think you'll enjoy it. But yep, I've been writing. So I have 4 books published now. So check me out on Amazon. And I have a poetry book called Warrior Queen, Emerging Out of Darkness. That's my poetry book. So
I got it. So this is on Amazon. So Warrior Queen.
Warrior Queen, The Playbook, and Unholy Eruptions.
The Playbook. The Playbook. And these are all on Amazon?
These are all on Amazon. And they're cheap. It's not something that's going to cost you, except my academic book, which is Alchemy of the Soul and African-Centered Education. For anybody that's interested in thinking about alternative educational models, that would be a book that I would recommend. But you know
what? I think I love it. I love the fact I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna go in there and grab, so I guess tell me which one I should would be best for me.
No, go in there and fill it out. Just fill it, and whatever calls you, that's the one you're supposed to have. That's what I tell people. Me, it's all spirit.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm with you. Okay. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna definitely check it in, and then I'll let you know which one has moved my spirit.
Okay.
When I collect it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then in the meantime, make sure y'all check out Dr. P. You can catch her out there on Facebook and catch her out there online, right? You can catch her in Minneapolis if you know something, right? We can't wait to get her back home and Flint and just continue to show her the robust, rich community that we building out right now. So Thank everybody who tuned in. Shardy Shar, is y'all subscribed to the show? Are you subscribed to the show, Dr. P?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as many emails you done sent me.
But did you subscribe to the show?
Yeah, I went on to YouTube and subscribed. Yeah, because you was
okay. Yeah. You know something good. You know that I went to the YouTube and subscribed.
Yeah, I subscribed. Yeah, it comes up. You come up on my scroll. Right. That's what you to know.
Hey, Phil, is you subscribed? Phil, make sure you subscribe. Shardy Shar, you subscribe? Shardy Shar, come on now, baby. I thought you was already subscribed, bro. Come on now. Becky Brown, is you subscribed to the show? Come on now. I just dropped it in the chat.
Yep, gotcha.
And then Michelle too. Michelle, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Okay, Becky subscribed. I know Bobby subscribed. Yeah, so we appreciate y'all, and once again we appreciate you, Dr. P.
Thank you. You know what? You should also get Flint. What is that? With Charles Xavier work. Flint. It's not Flint Beat, but Flint. What's the other Flint? The online newspaper.
Online newspaper?
Yeah. There's Flint Beat and there's Flint. What's the other Flint, y'all? Somebody.
Hub Flint? The Flint Hub?
Mm-hmm. Anyway, you need to be interviewed. And you need this promoted. So I'm gonna tell Charles to Flint side. Flint
side. Okay. I was thinking it had to be one of them.
Yeah, so you need to be promoted. And I'm gonna talk to Charles and
I see Charles.
If his editor wants it.
Yeah, nudge him and tell him we need to get that type of energy out there.
Yeah, your story needs to be told. This and what you're doing needs to be highlighted. So yeah.
I appreciate it. East Village.
That's right. East, yep.
Right, Bill. You know, sometimes I think they be scared of me, Dr. P. I think sometimes they feel like, they don't know what to expect. And I appreciate being an unpredictable type of person. So, nevertheless, we are telling the story, and I do appreciate your support.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm supposed to be on this Saturday with Reverend Theokel. Big shout out to Reverend Theokel.
Okay.
8:00 if you can join. 8:00 we'll be on with Reverend Theokel.
That's 7 for me. Ooh,
big shout out, right? Big shout out to my brother Joel Jones. He took over the spot for Karen at 9:10, right? You know what I'm saying? Doing a phenomenal job up there, holding it down. We are part of the foundation. With some good young brothers, man. There's really some in the area that's trying to do some great work for their city. And so just to be able to continue to have that message on the airwaves mean a lot, right?
Okay.
We want to continue to stay activated, but always tell our story. So anytime that, anything I have going on or any, things like that, I'll be sure to share with you.
Okay. Thank you.
We need you, on the mix chiming in.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to be doing what I can do on this side. So
Becky said, can you do it live? Are you talking about the one with the show or with Thrill Kill? She's probably talking about I'll try to see some connectivity issues. Connectivities with Reverend Thrill Kill to see if we can kind of get that live going too. And thanks to Shardy Shar for checking out that foundation, man. We was getting to it, man. I'm trying to tell you, we was on one, and every subject was an eyedropper, and everything was making sense for, at least where we would like to see our culture. So I just really appreciate, just the brothers stepping up. Someone running for state rep. We got those races here in Flint, so we got to be very strategic how we put our leadership in place. So I think. With that being said, man, big shout out to everybody. Once again, thank you, Dr. P.
Thank you for having me on your show and for such an engaging conversation. It's been a minute, So, and thank you everybody for tuning in and speaking into our hearts and our spirits. Thank you.
Thank you. We really do appreciate it. Won't you give them some last words, something they can go ahead and take with them?
I love y'all. Operate in the spirit. Meditate. What else I had to? Yeah, meditate and do some self love, and that's right, Becky. Peace.
Peace. Nah, definitely though, man. Self love, self care, peace. They love you back. Shotty Shah say love you back. We can't have you back here in the mix. And you know, when we sharing real love and value in each other, you said this early, when we really look at the true essence of who we are and really value, ourselves and love ourselves, then we learn to love the people that look like us. And so then I can't do anything negative, no matter how mad I may get, upset about a situation. I can't never, really go too far because it's like doing it to myself.
That's right.
So I won't cut my nose like my face. And so I will be always supportive and loving for us, first and foremost.
Amen.
All right. Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Right. Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Right. And then definitely we'll have this show available on YouTube. I'm gonna send you the link, Dr. P, so that way you can share it out with folks when they tune in later. Until then, let's stay activated. You gotta give us one of this as a blackout. Blackout.
Oh, blackout. Okay.
All right, peace and blessings, and I'll see you soon.
Okay.